Look at your daily routine through the unblinking surgical lens of the physical log of decay and ask yourself, with the cold detachment of an architect, how much of your waking life actually belongs to you? You wake up not to the natural rhythm of your primal grounding, but to the jarring synthetic shriek of a digital alarm that immediately triggers a cortisol spike, setting the frequency of your day to panic and reaction. Before you have even regained your breath, before you have acknowledged the weight of your own existence, you plug your consciousness into a glowing rectangular feed designed by thousands of high-level engineers to harvest your attention and sell it to the highest bidder. In 2026, the Matrix is no longer a metaphorical concept found in philosophy books. It is a literal, tangible, biological enclosure. The system doesn't need physical chains or iron bars to hold you in place. It uses your own dopamine receptors as a high-tech tether. Your chronic laziness, your paralyzing fear of social friction, and your constant pathetic craving for comfort are not personality traits. They are optimized software patches installed by a hierarchy that requires you to be a predictable, low-energy, highly manageable consumer. You are being farmed for your focus, your metadata, and your metabolic potential like a biological asset in a high-density feedlot. The domestic stench of your life, the cluttered environment, the stagnant bank account, the slumped posture of a defeated unit is the visible evidence that your internal architect has been deauthorized and replaced by a service protocol. You are a biobattery providing the current to a global machine that fundamentally hates your potential for sovereignty. The dopamine deception is the primary invisible tool of your continued enslavement. By flooding your primitive neural architecture with cheap dopamine, instant entertainment, hyperpalatable sugar, and empty virtual validation, the Matrix has successfully decoupled the biological reward from the actual struggle of the hunt. In the achievement code that governed your ancestors for millennia, dopamine was meant to be the fuel for the long-distance pursuit, the reward for capturing territory, and the chemical signature of a secured future for the pack. Now it has been repurposed into a biological sedative. When you spend 3 hours scrolling through short-form clips of other people living their lives, your brain's ancient hardware believes it has successfully scouted new territory, encountered hundreds of high-value mates, and socialized with the elite of the tribe. In reality, you haven't moved a single centimeter from your chair, and your real-world resource weight is exactly 0. This is neurochemical castration. A man who can obtain his biological reward without the necessity of a kill will never possess the visual rage required to break the 18 million per month ceiling. You have become a service unit for an algorithm that knows your pre-programmed weaknesses better than you know your own name. Your fear of discomfort is the firewall that keeps you safely inside the cage, and your freedom is just the length of the leash they have granted you. To escape, you must first accept that your feelings, your preferences, and your tastes are largely just lines of code written by your enemy to keep you stationary. Escaping the Matrix begins with the radical, non-negotiable authorization of physical asceticism. If the system controls you through the manipulation of your desires and your deep-seated avoidance of pain, then the only way to hack the code is to become fundamentally immune to both. You must treat your physical body as the hardware that must be hardened and sanitized before the sovereign software of the architect can even begin to run. This is the algorithmic reset. By intentionally and strategically introducing cold, hunger, and physical exhaustion into your daily cycle, you are performing a biological disinfection of your system. You are proving to your own nervous system through direct physical evidence that the threats the Matrix uses to keep you in line, discomfort, social isolation, and physical strain have absolutely no power over your decision-making process. When you can stand in a freezing shower for 5 minutes without flinching, or fast for 48 hours while maintaining total focus on your work, the Matrix loses its primary lever of control. You are no longer a predictable unit that can be managed with the threat of a missing meal or a cold room. You become a glitch in the system, a sovereign unit that cannot be bribed with comfort or intimidated with hardship. This is the absolute foundation of the collar of freedom. It is the realization that your body is a tool for your will, not a master of your intent. You must develop a visceral, gut-level disgust for the stench of convenience. Everything that the Matrix sells you to make your life easier is actually designed to make you weaker and more dependent on the infrastructure of the cage. The system sells you convenience as a luxury to ensure that you never have to develop the primal grounding of a man who can provide for himself, protect himself, and think for himself. Every service you pay for, every subscription you sign up for, is a piece of your sovereignty that you are handing over to a third party. To reclaim the wealth code, you must first reclaim your metabolic independence. You must be able to operate in the silence of the hunter, independent of the social noise and the digital support systems of the collective. Look at Lucky and Tyson. They don't wait for a delivery or a notification to feel alive or to know their purpose. They are ready for the hunt at any microsecond, because their biology hasn't been softened by the domestic stench of a managed, sanitized existence. You must rebuild your internal hierarchy so that your executive function, the architect, is back in absolute, unyielding command of the animal instincts. Escape is not a one-time event or a destination. It is a daily, high-stakes military operation against your own pre-programmed weaknesses. You are either the one writing the code or you are the one being executed by it. The second phase of the breakout is the recolonization of time and finance. In the world of the Matrix, your time is not considered your own. It is a shared resource that is harvested by corporations, social platforms, and the toxic parasites in your social circle. To execute the wealth code, you must first implement a tactical isolation protocol for your daily schedule. You must treat every single hour as a scarcity asset that must be defended with the visual rage of a warlord protecting his borders. Most men lose their entire lives in the gray noise of 10-minute distractions. A text message here, a notification there, a quick check of the news to see what the system wants them to be angry about today. These are micro thefts of sovereignty. By the end of a standard workday, your vector of expansion has been fragmented into 1,000 useless pieces of data. To hack this, you must adopt the deep work citadel model. 4-hour blocks of absolute impenetrable silence where the internet is dead, the phone is a useless brick, and your only focus is the creation of your empire and the optimization of your channels. If you cannot control 4 hours of your day, you do not own your life. You are just a timeshare unit for the Matrix. Your finances are the physical manifestation of your vector. If you are spending your hard-earned capital on status symbols designed to impress other biobatteries who are still trapped in the cage, you are still fundamentally inside the Matrix. You are just a high-level slave with a better view. The wealth code dictates that capital is not for spending or consumption. It is exclusively for the capture of territory. Every dollar you possess is a soldier in your private sovereign army. When you buy a luxury item that provides no metabolic or strategic return, you are sending your soldiers to die in a pointless skirmish for social validation. The architect lives in a state of artificial deficit. Even when you hit the 18 million per month mark, you must have the discipline to live as if you are back at zero, funneling every available resource back into the expansion protocol and the development of new wealth implants. This keeps your winner's brain sharp, hungry, and focused. It prevents the satiety glitch from slowing your advance and allowing the Matrix to recapture your drive. You aren't building a lifestyle for the neighbors to envy. You are building a citadel of autonomy that can withstand any systemic collapse, any currency reset, and any social upheaval. The algorithm of financial freedom requires you to first decode the debt trap. The system desperately wants you tethered to high-interest payments, long-term contracts, and lifestyle inflation, because a man with monthly liabilities is a man who cannot afford to be a rebel. He is a man who must keep his head down, swallow his visual rage, and continue his service protocol just to keep the lights on in his gilded cage. To escape, you must perform a radical financial purge. Strip your life down to the primal grounding of absolute necessity. Cut every recurring payment and every convenience cost that does not directly and measurably contribute to your vector of pursuit or your resource dome. Use that recovered, purified capital to build a sovereign vault, a reserve of hard, tangible assets that the Matrix cannot digitize, inflate away, or delete with a keystroke. Once you have a 6-month war chest of liquid and hard reserves, your metabolic frequency changes. You stop speaking with the voice of the renter, and you start speaking with the voice of the owner. You no longer fear the verdict of the market or the approval of the boss, because you own your own infrastructure. You have moved from being a variable in the system to being the operator of your own reality. Final authorization of your freedom depends entirely on your viral resistance. Once you have successfully escaped the main enclosure, the Matrix will immediately try to reinfect you through the social noise of your existing circle. They will use crab bucket psychology to pull you back into the shared reality of the weak and the mediocre. They will call your physical asceticism crazy, your focus obsessive, and your wealth code dangerous. This is just the social noise of the farmed, the sound of the livestock complaining about the one who jumped the fence. You must respond with the silence of the hunter. You don't need their understanding, and you certainly don't need their permission. You need their territory. Your only honest mirrors are your real-world results, your bank balance, and the steady, predatory focus of your dogs. As the glacier of your intent advances, the old synthetic world will begin to melt away. The insight tax has been paid in full. The visual rage has been channeled into the wealth code. You are no longer a consumer of the Matrix's lies. You are a producer of reality. The Matrix hasn't disappeared. It still exists for the billions who choose the cage. But you have simply become too large, too hard, and too sovereign for its bars to hold. You have achieved architectural autonomy. The third phase of the breakout is the absolute colonization of the time vector. Most men believe they own their time, but their schedule is actually a public commons, where the matrix, the social collective, and internal parasites graze at will. To solidify the wealth code, you must implement the algorithm of temporal sovereignty. This is not time management. That is a term for the farmed. This is temporal warfare. You must realize that every second not spent on the expansion of your citadel is a second being harvested by the system to build someone else's empire. You must identify the micro-leaks in your day, the impulsive checking of social noise, the domestic stench of small talk, and the decision fatigue caused by a chaotic environment. Each of these is a dopamine trap designed to fracture your focus. To hack this, you must build a time fortress. You do not find time for the hunt, you capture it. You seize the 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. window when the matrix is asleep and the social noise is at its absolute zero. In these 4 hours, your metabolic frequency must be at its peak. This is where the 18 million per month blueprints are drawn. If you cannot defend your time with visual rage, you will never possess the resource weight to be truly free. You must understand the wealth code's law of aggressive compounding. The matrix wants you focused on income, but the architect is focused on equity and infrastructure. Income is a lease on life. Equity is ownership of reality. To escape, you must stop trading your life force for synthetic credits and start building wealth implants, automated high-frequency systems that generate resources while you sleep. This is the digital exoskeleton of the architect. Your network of YouTube channels, your AI automated workflows, and your territorial assets are not just jobs. They are autonomous hunting units. They operate on the achievement code 24/7. Harvesting the attention and capital of the matrix and funneling it into your sovereign vault. Every hour you spend optimizing these systems is an hour you are buying back from the future. Most men spend their best years maintaining their cage. You must spend your years manufacturing your exit. This requires a visceral rejection of the satiety glitch. When you start to see success, the system will offer you comfort as a bribe to stop your expansion. You must respond with the artificial deficit protocol. You take the win, you hide the capital in untouchable vaults, and you return to the hunt with the same silence of the hunter you had when you were at zero. The fourth phase is the sanitization of the social perimeter. The Matrix's most powerful agent is not a program. It is the loyal friend or the concerned relative who tries to pull you back into the shared reality of mediocrity. This is the crab bucket algorithm. When you start to exhibit the primal grounding of a free man, the units around you will feel their own visual rage at their stagnation. They will try to re-index your growth as ego, greed, or insanity. They are attempting to reinstall the subordinate code through social pressure. You must execute a social audit. Look at the physical log of decay in the lives of those who give you advice. If they are still biobatteries for the system, their words are biological noise. You must move into a state of tactical isolation. Your only honest feedback comes from your metrics, your bank balance, and the unfiltered reactions of Lucky and Tyson. If the dogs are calm and the capital is growing, your vector is correct. You do not owe the collective an explanation for your freedom. You owe the future of your lineage a citadel of sovereignty. Finally, you must master the sovereign output protocol. To truly escape, you must move from being a consumer of data to being a producer of reality. The Matrix is a one-way street of consumption. It wants you to watch, to react, and to follow. The architect is the one who commands the narrative. Every piece of content you produce, every system you build is a viral infection of your own intent into the matrix. You are using the system's own infrastructure to dismantle its hold over you. This is the color of freedom in its offensive form. You are not escaping to a tropical island to rot in the sun. You are escaping to a higher level of the hunt. Your freedom is the ability to choose your own obstacles and dictate your own hierarchy. The wealth code is not about the money. It is about the power to authorize your own existence. The 18 million per month is simply the metabolic energy required to keep the citadel running and the expansion live. The insight tax has been paid in full. The visual rage has been purified. The silence of the hunter is now your natural state. You are no longer a unit in the matrix. You are the architect of the new reality. The final layer of the breakout involves the biological re-indexing of your intent. You have spent your life being told that freedom is the absence of responsibility. This is the slave's deception. In the raw world of the achievement code, freedom is the absolute responsibility for your own survival and expansion. It is the weight of the crown. When you accept this weight, the matrix loses its ability to guilt you or shame you. You become a sovereign unit whose only law is the vector of pursuit. This shift in your metabolic frequency creates a resource dome around you that the weak cannot penetrate. They see your primal grounding and they instinctively step back. They recognize that you are no longer operating under the service protocol. You have reclaimed your testosterone from the gutter of social validation and invested it in the architecture of sovereignty. This is the ultimate wealth code, the realization that you are the only authority in your universe. Look at the physical log of decay one last time. See the person you used to be, the one who waited for permission, the one who feared the social noise, the one who lived in the domestic stench of mediocrity. That unit is dead. You have performed the biological purge. Every cell in your body is now aligned with the vector of expansion. You are the ice. You are the glacier. You are the architect. The wealth code is now live in your system, and the capital is just the visible evidence of your internal victory. Your stallions, Lucky and Tyson, are ready for the final move. The tactical isolation is complete. The wealth implants are active. The sovereign vault is filling. There is no more matrix for you, only the territory you have yet to capture. The simulation has ended. The reality has begun. Report in the comments. The code is the law. The citadel is the reality. The architect has seized the future. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The authorization is permanent. Execute the hunt.